Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Smudcast. Good evening, actually. It's a bit later. Welcome to Smudcast number 807. There are no original movies for the new generation, all in capitals. This is a rant video for Mr. Adam Does Movies. Not sure who this gentleman is. He's got close to 90,000 subs. He made this video about 2 months ago, and it's got just above 6,000 views. It's almost 12 minutes long, so shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't take too long. And in general, I think movies are dying. I think that's just how it's been. And it's not really the fault of Hollywood per se. It's just
Hollywood plays a big factor.
Oh, it's part of it. But I think it's mostly the change into streaming services and how we consume media and how going to the theater is no longer a big deal. It's no
sure,
longer...
that changes things, but Hollywood has been making horrible movies for about a decade, and that will also shut down cinemas because there were movies that filled the cinemas in these past years, and they were notable. Some were notable because they were really good. Some were notable because they were cultural phenomenon.
Yeah. It's interesting how Shrek is still popular and now it's a musical. Like you could actually go downtown. I don't know if it's right now, but you can go downtown eventually in some popular cities and watch the Shrek musical. And they even turned Mean Girls into a musical. Now, Mean Girls was a musical in the movie because that's what they designed it to be. So all they're doing is just saying, well, it's a movie that we made into a musical and we can just translate that as a stage, no problem. It's a bit different because when you make these really modern films with all the CGI, there's so many camera angles and so many cuts and everything's so dynamic, and you expect that from movies these days because there's so much technology you can get from, let's say, playing a video game that you can't get in movies, so they have to incorporate all these new visuals, and the attention for kids is always shockingly strange for kids from 20 years ago.
I don't know. Joker worked while being a slow movie, so I would say that's not necessary.
I'm referring to films that you could say like fit the time frame they were in, like the 80s and the 90s. You have the Goonies, you have Ghostbusters, you have Back to the Future. You have all these big names that I would say are family films, but they were also modern for their time. They had a lot of special effects. And nowadays, things like Mean Girls doesn't quite fit the realm of kids. It's more or less a high school drama musical. So it's kind of like that film major. Like a film major would love that stuff, or someone studying literature would love that because it incorporates so many elements that I wouldn't say are for kids, or the kids wouldn't appreciate it as much. So it's hard. And all the comic book stuff, I guess you could say, well, that's the new generation's 80s and 90s, I guess. Like we would get Schwarzenegger and Stallone and all kinds of Van Damme films. Like that was our action adventure. And now we've got like these dark dramas about real war. We have these TV series on like the FBI and cops, which we've always had. It's just a lot more mature and a lot more adult. So I don't know what's out there for kids. I can't say.
I'm also not sure that the way they're presented is necessarily mature and adult. Like they're serious, yes, but they throw in these millennial jokes and all of that immersion destroying stuff.
Some of the modern jokes don't land for me as in general, just probably because I'm old. But someone had to have written this for some audience, and I just don't know which one.
Millennial jokes don't work for anyone.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because they're they're built on cringe. They're not there to be enjoyed. They're there to feel embarrassed on behalf of the movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of,
and that's an automatic immersion breaker.
I'm trying to think of like shows that weren't adapted from other things, like the gaming stuff or the Vertigo stuff, like the comic books from Vertigo. Preacher was one of them. I thought, okay, that's how you going to do that on TV. It's really hard, and they managed to pull some of it off. But even like the Fargo series was based off a film. New Girl, just all this stuff that seems to be derivative of something, like a book or a previous show or a previous movie it came from. Like, amazingly, What We Did in the Shadows, What We Do in the Shadows was a good film, and the series is very well done, even though the original creators or the original actors aren't there anymore. But they managed to get the spirit and the same vibe of the film, which is a lot of improv. So that worked amazingly. Then you have like Ghostbusters, was it 2015 or 2016, which was also improv, based off another property, which didn't work.
Horrible imitation.
Yeah, and then you got 2 more iterations of that, which
but that's the stuff that kills cinema.
Yeah, it's
because people go to cinema not because it's the new movie, but because you go to the cinema for the atmosphere, sometimes for the social ritual, doing something with friends or family, and having the atmosphere. Because it's just what you buy is the experience of cinema. Even if you have your big projector at home, it's different when you go to the cinema. It's like going to a restaurant to eat instead of cooking for yourself, even if you're a good cook. Maybe you want someone else to cook well for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can get started. Let's crank up the video here. 12 minutes.
As I sat and watched the new trailer, Beetlejuice, I couldn't help but think to myself, wow, do movies even care about the new generation at all anymore? Do kids growing up with movies even have something that they can call their own? Something that they grew up with that wasn't just a reboot, a recycle, a retread, a repeat, a prequel, a sidequel, a sequel, a suckwell? I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think they're kind of screwed. Let's talk about it. This idea came to me a couple days ago when I was looking at the slate of movies coming out, and there's just nothing that's new or original that's catered to kids and families. It's all the same crap. It's all the same crap that I had from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, that's it's what we talked before you hit the stream button. The 80s and 90s, that was the height of cinema.
Yeah.
There was wild creativity. Hollywood was trying out things. You pitched an idea, they went, okay, let's give it a shot. Well, they had their things that were making money, and with that, they were financing new stuff.
I think he's just...
But that's not what Hollywood is doing anymore.
Yeah, I think he just ran... Like, I wouldn't say it was crap in the 80s. I'm just saying, like, there was some really silly films in the 80s, but it wasn't crap in regards to what's happening now. Like, they take Ghostbusters and make a new iteration, or they take whatever was popular in the 90s, and, like, the Expendables, right? They get all these old action heroes,
Yeah.
They put a new thing together. That could have worked well. I guess it was fine for what it was, but I don't know what he means by what was crap in the 80s. So,
well, you have always Sturgeon's Law, so you had a lot of crap. But the amount of really, really good stuff in the 80s and 90s, that is incomparable with what comes out now. The quantity of the quality has gone down.
Yeah, we had the emergence of animation and anime 80s and 90s, so it wasn't just Hollywood, it was just everything. Like, we had so many options for media, and it wasn't just the theater, it was also the VCR shop, it was also the corner store that you could rent stuff and rent video games and get your own bag of popcorn and take it home. So we had so many great options, and we didn't know what to we didn't know what to do. And now we have so many great options in video games because that's where the market is, but with film it's just not the same. And I end up watching a series that I might have watched 20 years ago at the dentist just because that's what they give me, staring into the Netflix screen while I'm getting a checkup.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, I didn't know this was on Netflix. Oh, I'll check it out later. So, yeah, that's ends up happening. You end up having nothing better to do, and you had no idea something was available because there's no marketing and you don't see advertisements.
Yeah, but they produce tons of stuff. It's just all crap. There's barely good stuff coming out there. We're celebrating when a good movie comes out now. When in the 80s, there were like, what, 5 good movies a year?
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah, and now, and that they're not experimenting with series either. Like, yeah, you do get crap. You do get a lot of crap. But, like, polished trash like Warehouse 13 is not something you'll get anymore.
Okay.
Have you seen that?
I've heard of it, but no, I haven't seen it.
The idea was that warehouse at the end of Indiana Jones, where all the magical stuff goes.
Yeah.
Imagine a show that is run, that is about the people who run that place.
That's cool.
Yeah. Bit comedic. At the end, it goes a bit in the agenda, but not very much. Just a bit of the cringe level of the new generation is stupid, which makes it okay. But the whole thing is just everything is occult nonsense, and for example, just every day the guy who runs the thing goes outside. The warehouse entry is somewhere in the desert, and he throws a football into the sky, and then it just goes around the earth once. Because that's what that football does. It's like this comedic item. And when it comes back, it has gathered all the data about all the new magical items around, and so they go on missions.
Really interesting.
So it's like to get the stuff so it doesn't negatively affect humanity, or bad guys do bad things with these things, and they can put it in the warehouse.
Okay.
And then they also have to check that when they're in the warehouse, that they don't put the stuff next to stuff where it resonates badly, because then other bad things happen and you get cumulative effects of crap. It's wonderful occult nonsense.
It's like the magical Brotherhood of Steel. They just hoard everything and do nothing with it. Just sit there.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. And where's that? Where's that today?
Yeah.
Even if it's on a low budget, it's enjoyable.
Sounds good. I'm gonna check that out. That sounds pretty fun. All right.
Packaged or just straight up a sequel. Beetlejuice? What? Like 30 years later, we're doing this again? And don't get me wrong, Michael Keaton's fantastic. Tim Burton certainly could use a win. I
mean, is Keaton still alive? Did they CG him, or has he just grown into the age of Beetlejuice? Is he now as old as Beetlejuice?
I thought
in the movie.
I thought the was it called Birdman? He was in that film. He was the aging star of a superhero he played. Like that was on the nose. I'm like, that's all you need. Just do that, Keaton. But then he was in like he was in the DC made for TV superhero stuff, I think, and then he was in another film as Batman, and I'm like, oh, why are we doing this? Why are you doing this? Because that was the big thing with him in the 90s. Well, he didn't want to do Batman. Was it the second Batman film? He didn't want to do it. It was redundant. He's like, I was already Batman. Why would I do it again? And they encouraged him to do it. And after that, you're like, okay, Michael, you're a talented guy. Why would you do that? Like, what's the point? So I don't know. There's certain things to Michael I like, and there's like, but then why would you end up doing all that crap? So
inflation. The millions aren't worth millions anymore. So you need more millions.
I need my second Lamborghini. Yeah, that's pretty much. Oh.
I think the last movie I genuinely liked of his was Big Fish, and that's a freaking great movie, but that was a long time ago. But look at everything on the block. We have Twisters, which is just a carbon copy of Twister, or a prequel, or a sequel, or whatever it's pretending to be. It's the same movie at the end of the day. We have Mufasa, which is a live-action prequel to The Lion King. Live action. It's animated, of course, but it's that weird, quasi-real National Geographic look where none of the characters have any emotion or life to them. Yeah, let's do that again. Because sadly, The Lion King from a few years back made one...
Wait, they made a sequel to that? Oh my, I thought that was a one... Oh my God.
A pre-sequel.
Oh my God.
The other, like the Ariel movies, they all went straight to DVD or VHS.
Okay, so it never got a release.
There's tons of this. Disney made tons of these.
Yeah.
You just never heard of them.
Thank goodness. Okay.
And then you wonder why didn't you make another great animation movie like another what was it, Treasure Planet? Why didn't you make another one of those? Oh, it's too expensive. Let's instead churn out Ariel 5.
Oh yeah, or
off.
the made to DVD or the made to VHS Aladdin series. Actually, the TV series
the series was good. I liked it more than the movie.
The series was good. Sorry, I meant the movie spin-offs, the Iagos and the whatever those stupid pets, whatever they were. They had their own thing. Yeah.
God, Chat says there was a Hunchback too. Oh God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jeez.
How?
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
This is something my aunt would have known because she bought them all, but I don't think she bought the spin-offs. I don't think she did that. But anyway.
Yeah, it's like hearing there's a Highlander 6 and a Dragonheart 5 and a Dungeons and Dragons 3.
Oh my God.
Which is actually okay.
The
Considering the low budget. The old Dungeons and Dragons movies, 2 and 3 are, I would say, real Dungeons and Dragons. They're on a horrible budget. The CGI is ass, but it's a story within the world that is not about, oh, we are a quirky adventurer group doing the quirky adventure and winning everything with quirky jokes. No, there's serious things in the world. You do have adventurers in them, but therefore, in both cases, in different ways, hired in kind of a heist plot. So they're not finding each other in the tavern, but the regions of the town are putting together a team.
I haven't seen the Chris Pine one in Dungeons and Dragons. I heard it was okay, so I don't know.
That was the first one?
Yeah. Okay.
The first one was such a disappointment because everybody expected something great. It was the one with the biggest budget. Yeah. So you can give it that, but it didn't feel like a real Dungeons and Dragons story. While the second one was on a dismal budget, like below the Hercules series with
Kevin Sorbo.
And exactly, but it tried to be serious, and it took the How the Magic in the World works serious, because for example, you had this in the beginning, you have this magician woman, the wizard woman, and she was studying divine magic and tried to make it work, but she didn't understand the most fundamental thing, which is that it is about belief, because divine magic is not just putting the ingredients together and baking your spell. It is a blessing that you get from the god. So if you do the spell ritual wrong, you won't get the outcome you want. You may even get a negative outcome, like a mini curse or something. And the ingredient she was always lacking was faith, and that's a nice Chekhov's gun in the movie. Other than that, it's a tough watch, but they did a lot of good with what little they had. It feels like an adventure movie.
Nice.
And the third one was creative insofar as it's and I'd say it's the best of the three, even. So it's a son wanting to save his father, and in order to do that, a paladin, has to join an evil group and pretend to be evil. Those are great setups.
All right.
Counting. It's one of the highest grossing movies of all time. That's depressing, but that's just the truth. And it's not the truth because a bunch of kids were excited to see it. I mean, that might be the case, but it's mainly because the adults wanted to relive their childhood. So again, these weren't for the kids necessarily. And Mufasa is going to be the same thing. Bad Boys 4. We're still doing Bad Boys? Axel F. Axel Foley. We have Beverly Hills Cop 4 going straight to Netflix. Is this... Where am I right now? What is happening in the world that this is where we're at? We just had another version of Willy Wonka come out not that long ago. We've rebooted that several times over. Just keep churning that thing out until there's nothing left. They're making 2 more Pirates of the Caribbean movies. What
are we on, 7?
One is a spin-off, I think, that's going to have Johnny Depp in it.
I think I barely watched the first, and that was it. That was all I remember. They made 6.
The first is fine. But I think they're on 6 right now.
Yeah.
I've lost interest in watching because it just got stupid, and not the fun and cool kind of stupid as the first movies were. It just turns into Disney adventures, and that is just not the same as this first gritty, slightly dark but light-hearted movie that does this dance between it's a creepy, eerie, and serious and dangerous world, and you can die. And here's some light-hearted jokes because I'm drunk all the time.
Got Margot Robbie because she's all the hotness and rage. Even on the animation front, most of it's not original. Sure, there was that Migration Illumination movie from a little while back.
That was good. I watched that. I believe it or not. It was a story of a bunch of birds that were going to some tropical area, and they had to go through New York and all the adventures there, and that was kind of fun.
Oh, I didn't notice. Jeremy says in the chat that the first Pirates movie was based on a theme park ride.
Yeah, that's right.
So the other way around, they didn't make a ride out of a movie, but they made a movie out of a ride, and they should do that more often.
It's yeah. Well,
seems to give you a good structure.
It's kind of fun. Like we're getting a new theme park ride at Canada's Wonderland. We got bought out by Six Flags, and we have like 3 roller coasters that go through Canada's Wonderland, the mountain thing. Now that this is the 4th one, it's like the biggest one in North America or whatever. You're like, okay, I mean, is there a story behind it? Is there like some lore? You got some magical elves dig through the mountain. Like, what? Give me something that I can get me excited about aside from it's really fun ride. You know, I want more than just the engineering mechanical elements. I want stories, but you know.
Yeah. To Fred, not in the chat. Sorry, not the burp. I'm torn with Honor Among Thieves. I've said this in other Smudcasts. I think I have a heart for these crappy Dungeons and Dragons 2 and 3 movies because they try to be serious in the Dungeons and Dragons world and just play a story in the Dungeons and Dragons world instead of being the standard adventure that you play at the table. You get a story in the third one more than in the second. So instead of a wacky adventure where the party does stupid things because we are funny players, haha, wouldn't that be funny? I miss the serious stories, is what I'm saying. And in the age of quirkiness, they're even harder to get. I want serious fantasy movies. I want more Lord of the Rings movies. Not Lord of the Rings, but movies that are serious fantasy.
All right.
I mean, really, that's going to be a cultural phenomenon that kids are going to grow up with, like a Ghostbusters or a Gremlins or, you know, Indiana Jones or Back to the Future or Jaws or Jurassic Park. No! It's freaking Migration, a throwaway animated film by Illumination.
thing we have today, and I don't think that people who are deep into film expected this, and many didn't even notice it. And I remember 10 years ago, the media scientists at the art university, and media science is not a science, they were still fantasizing about the future of film, where you have the interactive movie. And that was 2014, and we already had video games for 30 years by then.
Yeah.
Video games are the interactive movie. And what I want to get at is very blatant. One of my favorites, Asura's Wrath. That's the epitome of the interactive movie. You have actually very few full gameplay parts. And think of Nier Automata. If that is not a movie, if that is not a movie story, I don't know what is.
I think that's a great example of a video game where the game is part of the story, and the game is never the same thing every time you play it, because every chapter is different. And that's a very good design philosophy for gaming, let alone storytelling. But the experiment, I've talked about this years ago, there's been so many experiments of interactive film where people have a controller and they're given options to what happens during this story beat. And then you have like 3 options and you vote on, will they go this way, they go that way, or they go this way. And
what I come down to is that they're all just visual novels, which we already have from Japan.
They become choose your own adventure, but group. So all you're doing is screaming with everyone else on your suggestion for that vote to be cast. And it all becomes this crazy scream along circus ride where the detective has to do this because you told him to.
Because it's shit because it illustrates the problem of democracy. Because everybody who didn't win his vote doesn't like what's going on anymore.
If you put it that way, it's no longer a private vote. It's just a screaming match of do A, do C, just You're like, okay, I guess. Because at certain points, you're like, I don't care what they do because the choice is so arbitrary. There's all kinds of dumb stories they tried. They tried detective stories. They tried comedies. They tried action. And it all comes down to just doing whatever everyone else is doing.
It's have your focus group test after the release of the movie.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not saying these things can't work, but they were tried, like, again, 20, 25 years ago. One was like 15 years ago.
Okay. We don't know if they could work, but so far no experiment has worked.
Yeah.
Is this some parallel to socialism?
I think it has to do with the format. Like, imagine if you and I don't know, like 10 of our friends were watching we were like a watch together, and there's like, it gives you options, and it's a tight group of people, and we're just watching. Like, that would work because we're all together, we're all having fun, we all know each other, and we're all like cracking jokes at why we chose that, and we could pause it at any time. Like, that's the kind of control you want. If it's just a theater,
what happens then is that we all choose the stupidest option.
Well, we have fun because we all get along.
Yeah.
When you're in public,
that's why we choose the stupidest option. We've done this with Bears back in the day a lot.
Oh, with those games, yeah,
with these multiple choice games, and it's just hilarious. But anytime you do this with friends, you go for the stupidest option because it gives everyone the most laughs.
Yeah, and with when you think about a movie theater and the setting of it's kind of like this private, quiet room, and all of a sudden everyone's jumping up out of the chair and screaming, and it's like, wait, am I part of this group? Am I part of that? I don't like that guy. But there's all this stuff going on beside the actual movie that human behavior takes over, as opposed to, well, what's the most interesting choice I could make that everyone else would go for as well, because you're gonna lose every time you make a choice.
Yeah, but look on the other hand, I think this is a similar problem that American media has, as they do with comic books, with DC and Marvel especially, where, oh, we have a thing, let's do the thing again, let's do the thing again, let's do the thing again. That's how you get all these prequels and sequels and side things, and not real creativity. The creativity was in the first one, in the first movie of anything. And sometimes you had such talented people that they could make a great sequel. You had this in the 80s with Aliens and Terminator 2 and a few others. But those were exceptions. Usually, sequels are shit. The 80s had this Empire Strikes Back is the best example of the sequel being absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, they could
but even
do
here,
it.
yeah, and even here, we can look at Japan, which has very few franchises that do the same thing over and over and over again. And they've learned pretty early with one of the first things they did that with, which was Love Ina, the manga that defined the harem genre.
Yeah.
That, oh, if we extend this too much, not just the author doesn't want to do it anymore, but it just becomes shit and nobody watches it anymore. So let's not exploit the things, because if we exploit it too much, people won't even be interested in the merch anymore. And if we cut it off where it's a good end, people will remember it fondly and keep buying the merch.
Yeah, I think the iterations of comics, or at least the classic Western superhero comic characters that we know, they could easily have finished their stories 30 years ago, and you could do a Boruto, you can do a Next Generation, you can do a whatever, and just iterate on, oh, well, Gotham City's still there. Let's have a new crime fighter after Batman. There's so many ways. And they've tried to do that.
New guy. Have a not Batman, but somebody who tries to fix Gotham.
There's flavors.
Angle.
There's flavors of that. They're just never accepting one and running with it, because they want to go back to the Batman. They want to go back to the big three.
They want to play it safe in the wrong way.
I guess, yeah.
I think that's the issue, because I wanted to say, Japanese cinema also brings out new good things time and again, and even of things that were old. There's a Mononoke movie coming out right now. We've been waiting for that for months. I've heard this early this year and thought, like, wow, they're still doing that franchise. It's not dead. Then I was told, oh, they made a theatric play of that, and I thought, yeah, that's perfect. Because that is something that actually lends itself to the medium of theater, because the whole thing plays out like an Agatha Christie story, but with Shinto stuff and the Japanese version of old dresses. I'm lacking a lot of words right now. Sorry. But yeah, we need to watch that series together, Smut. Everybody else already loves it.
It's been a while since I've watched the Gillian Anderson voice for the original Mononoke.
The Gillian Anderson voice?
Yeah, the 90s, yeah, the original Princess Mononoke movie.
Oh no, Smut, this is the whole problem. Every time I tell anyone about Mononoke, everybody thinks of the Ghibli movie, Princess Mononoke. That's not what I'm talking about.
It's the same name.
I'm talking about something that will blow your mind.
Okay.
And that is why we must watch it together. I'm not talking about the Ghibli movie. And Lale loves it, and to blow Lale's mind away with something, that's an achievement.
All right. We'll check it out later.
Despicable Me movies are still going strong, of course, but Despicable Me's been around for a very long time now, and the Minions...
All right, last thought on that. You had recommended that Count of Monte Cristo anime to me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Imagine something in that style of quality.
Oh. Nice.
Exactly.
These aren't new properties. Bob Iger's back at Disney, and he's all but given up. For him, we're all about making money. We're all about profit, and the only movies that are profitable and making money are sequels or remakes. So Frozen 3 greenlit, Moana 2 greenlit, Moana live action greenlit,
Whoa.
Lilo and Stitch live action coming out.
Oh no.
Inside Out 2. Out of all the movies in the world that didn't need a sequel, Inside Out is getting a sequel. I love Inside Out. Brilliant film, but another one? Really? All you can do is ruin it at this point. Where is a modern Goonies? Where is a modern Sandlot? Where is like even a Rookie of the Year or a Blank Check? These movies don't exist anymore. They don't have anything like this.
I'd be happy for something like Quick Change.
Was that from the 80s?
I think 90s. But the Bill Murray heist movie.
Oh, he had a few weird 90s films that were pretty cool. That, like The Spy Who Knew Too Little or something like that. Like he played a secret agent. Like he thought it was for fun. Like he thought it was all an act, but it was real. It was really funny. But yeah, no, there's a lot of good like films that just passed under the radar that were brilliant. Because there's so many.
Are good creative writers for movies as rare as the Michelangelos of what's the word? Making statues.
Sculptor?
Yes, I don't know English today. But they seem to be equally rare.
It's more than just writing when you make a movie, though. So it's not just the script. That's obviously the most important, but it's, how you edit it, what you show to the audience, how you present that, what dialogue you use, what timing. It's all that. It's all the visual, all the audio. So, yeah, it's hard to get someone with that vision who understands that from the script to direct it properly.
Fred, not now you said it, now it will happen. It manifests simply through us uttering it.
What's that?
Live action Treasure Planet.
See, that would be awesome. I think that would be pretty awesome.
Would it?
I want to see the attempt. I really
wouldn't that just shit on the animation?
Oh yeah, for sure. But
quality and experimentation that they did.
But if they combine it with the rustic sort of the ship, like the traditional looking,
they won't.
And they combine it with like steampunk or something cool, it could work.
Oh. And the CGI will be the wrong resolution, and it will just all look off.
Yeah,
it will look too much like, oh yeah, this is definitely rendered.
If it's like a Disney color palette, it should be fine. But they're probably gonna do something different if they were to do that style. But
it would just be lame and gay.
I want to see the attempt. I think if they could do Beauty and the Beast, they could do Treasure Planet, no problem. I guess they're just shat out on Disney Plus, like Magic Camp or something from a couple of years back. There was a new Percy Jackson TV series that came out this year. There was a live action version of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Again, we're just redoing everything. How to Train Your Dragon. Sorry, let's put a little bit more emphasis on the A the way it should be. How to Train Your Dragon. Getting a live action. Of course it is.
A waste.
That doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah.
I could see the CGI really screwing up the dragon. Oh, that's not going to be a good idea.
It will not be cute anymore.
Of course, Disney's doing it. We might as well do it too, says DreamWorks. Kung Fu Panda 4, I don't think performed as well as they wanted, so let's go the live action route.
Wait, that was out already?
Now, I'm not saying there is nothing coming out for families. I just can't think of it. That's original or unique or timeless, something that's going to withstand more than 2 years. This is where I'm sort of like, there's so much stuff for kids that we just don't know. And it's pretty good, but it's not like this big blockbuster sort of story like Frozen was when it came out. Yeah. So
I think what will survive of this era is the Mario movie, even though they couldn't wash out all the flaws. think it's a timeless thing.
Okay.
It won't be at the heights of like Alien, but it'll last. And a few crappy changes that are in there to the lore, which people call out as it's woke.
Yeah.
Those were things that Nintendo couldn't backpedal on because the development was too far in. But when they noticed that there was a lot of crap in the movie, they insisted that change that back. So change that back, or it's got a tank. Change that back. You're insane. And thankfully, something like that was done. Otherwise, the movie would not have looked like the original Sonic, but it would have felt like it probably.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, another one. Although I think that's from the last decade. Is Kubo and the Two Strings. That's an underdog gem that everybody should watch.
Yeah,
that will last like the never-ending story.
We're gonna get these, not even from Japan, but just in general. We're gonna get these kids shows, which are amazing, and no one knows about them. We have them probably every other year. And as I said with Migration, like I didn't even know about that until my cousins came by and they just put on the movie, and I'm like, "What's that? That looks really good." It's such a great show, a great film about just a bunch of people or birds migrating to the tropics, and it's like, this is so cool. And I don't remember any advertisements. I don't remember talking anything on the news. Like usually the movie guys would we have a bunch of critics in Toronto talk about movies. I didn't hear anything about that until it came out the day of. And you just don't pay attention as much with the advertising, because the advertising is not centralized. This advertising is not on channel 3 or whatever your news station was. Now we get our news in its own slot on the internet. So
my big problem is that I hate movie trailers. Because they're 1, spoilers, 2, misleading.
Yes, they're all misleading.
And
marketing
I
wise.
hate both. Like I don't want to be spoiled the good scenes of the movie and what the plot is or where it leads to, and neither do I want to be misled about what is in the movie, because that happens at the same time. It's just horrible.
It depends, because when you got a trailer for Commando back in the day, it's like, whoa, that was awesome, and then you actually watch the film and there's like even more awesome stuff in it. Mm-hmm. So you expect that's what you want from a trailer. Yeah, exactly.
The trailer should not fire the best stuff of the movie, because why do I need to watch the movie then?
Yeah.
And since I don't go to Sneak Peek anymore, for I would like to. There's lots of movies I'm missing out on, and of course the trailers for others that I would otherwise miss. Because yes, trailers do inform that something does exist, but I just wish it was different.
All right.
Coming out, and you can go, you know what, I want to watch this again. Where is this generation's Home Alone, or their WALL-E, or their Wreck-It Ralph, or there's
the Wreck-It Ralph is still relevant. Yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
The Wreck-It Ralph isn't that old.
Yeah.
So many great movies out there. It just sucks that they're not even going to take the time to invest in new ones, original ideas or thoughts, and instead we have
Inside Out was a relatively young one, and it started going downhill, I would say, around 2014. And 2017-18 it went really downhill, but Inside Out is still a relatively young one.
Yeah,
that is already in that phase. So
that
was still a lucky one.
Yeah,
because it was actually okay.
It did. I think it's still number 1 in the box office this year. So I don't know. It seems to be popular. Seems to work.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's fewer and fewer of these. That's the issue, and that's his issue.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm on his side here.
Yeah, I think again we have so many options for media. You're gonna get Sturgeon's law kicking in and go, okay, yeah, this isn't gonna work for the most part.
Yeah, but the thing is, and we mentioned this before, the main media juggernaut right now is video games.
Yeah.
So you will also get probably some of the best storytelling cutscenes in video game cutscenes. They are their own movies. They are the interactive movie, and the thing is, video games have a lot more time to build up a story, to build up characters, and to build up through gameplay into a cutscene, which makes it even more impactful. While a movie, you're passive to.
I can make the same argument though with the games that even I like that are new. They're just derivatives of the classics like Final Fantasy Tactics or Castlevania.
Oh, sure.
But it's from that genre that we get these not as memorable, not as big, but it's still, oh, this is like those other games. They're not bad in any way. They're nowhere near as good, but you can say, wow, this is our version of a side scroller. This is our version of a tactical RPG.
Well, there you have the issue that inventing a new genre becomes increasingly difficult as more genres have been invented.
That's not a major issue, though. It's more or less, I don't want the genre. Like, can you imagine making another Chrono Trigger? I can't. Like, I just, how do you do it?
No. But that's more due to the story beats than the game system.
It's the people together, like all that talent, all in one place, doing one thing really quickly for a 10, 12-hour experience is like, wow, how do you do that? Like, you can, but you don't know what iteration that will take if you get all these other talented people together to make a whatever dream project. Like, it's not, you can't imagine that. You have to be in the room with all these people.
Oh, you mean the lightning in the bottle issue?
No, it's not necessarily that. I mean, you could break it down to that, but I would say, like, you don't know what all these geniuses are going to do until they do it, and even then, you'd have to be in the room to like get a feeling for what that's going to be like. Let alone a publisher going to wait that extra amount of time to have them make whatever. So it can be done, and that's all I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the next Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm waiting for the next Chrono Trigger. I'm waiting for the next Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'm waiting for that really like boom that defines the era, like Witcher 3. That was the 2010s. That was the best RPG we could think of for that time period. So
you didn't like the idea of the rhythm game roguelite fantasy dungeon crawler?
16-bit graphics and all this other jazz.
That was what was it? Crypt of the Necrodancer.
I guess not.
That one passed you. It's such an amazing game.
There's so many there's so many amazing games, like even spoof games that I didn't even hear about until like today, that are like 10 years old. I'm like, when did this come out? Like, what the hell? This one was, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a spoof on the RPG genre, and they take cracks at all the big names like Final Fantasy and D&D, and you're just a retired wizard who just wants to go live and be quiet in the countryside, and all these people are nagging you, and you're like a shopkeeper, and all this crap, all this stupid shit keeps happening, all these tropes, and it's all a spoof, kind of like the Bard's Tale.
Oh, Sean in the chat, that reminds me of something. Back in the 80s and 90s, mainly video games were based on movies, on movie franchises. Now we have entered a time where they keep making movies imitating great video games. And they're shit.
Zenith, that's what I was referring to. Zenith is the game. If you ever want to check that out, you'll probably be like, hey, I want to play that. That looks silly and fun and RPG-ish and tropey and fun, silly, goofy stuff. Anyway.
Where Harrison Ford is like 95 years old, still dusting off the whip and the hat. They can't even do the piano thing anymore that they do in all modern trailers, where they just take the original soundtrack and they slow it down. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Another set of Jurassic World movies coming out. Might as well. Haven't killed that dinosaur yet. Haven't beat that one into the ground. Well, actually, they have. That dinosaur's been dead for quite some time. Unless we forget what else these studios like to do, which is hang on to properties by just quickly shitting out a movie based on it. Oh, we got the licensing for She's All That. Let's do He's All That. Father of the Bride. Let's do Mother of the Bride. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. We own that one. Yeah, let's make a new one. Sure, race swap. That'll be the thing it's known for. How brave. I could be wrong. It's possible. I don't think I am, but I could be. Maybe I just am missing out on some of these movies that are hitting the big screen, or maybe they're going to small screens. Maybe Hulu or Peacock or Disney Plus or Apple Plus or someone has a really great movie that families can all enjoy, that kids can grow up with, and they'll get sequels off of it. But I really...
And this is I think a really interesting development, that all the streaming services are now tanking as well. Because they've just been churning out crap, paid millions per episode for these things, and I think at this point it's obvious to everyone that it's money laundering.
It depends. Because Netflix is known for canceling popular shows after the first season or even the second season.
Yeah, but what I mean is these things cost like 10 million an episode, and you don't see those 10 million on screen.
We don't understand exactly how these streaming companies make their money outside of investment from the public and whatever advertising revenue they get. Like, we don't know.
Look, the actress of Batwoman, after she was fed up with the show, she said outright it's money laundering.
Oh, yeah? Really?
Yeah, because the set was so unsafe because they didn't even spend money on that.
Oh, that's when someone died. I remember that in Vancouver. Yeah,
and several injuries, and she got injured too.
Yeah.
And that's the point where she was like, screw this.
Yeah, not because
I'm going to work with Keanu Reeves now.
Yeah, I'm going to go have a better life where I don't die. My spine isn't broken.
Only my character dies, but not me.
Yeah, give her a black gay version of Batwoman. That'll work. Okay.
am racking my brain trying to think of one, trying to think of something that is so iconic and timeless, and maybe it's just not possible.
Suburbs. You must watch Suburbs. Was it Suburbs?
I don't know.
The one where with the creepy family and they offer you sardines on little pretzels.
Really?
And it's all weird.
Well, if it comes with cheese, I'll be okay.
They're creepy monster villains, and they try to pretend to be normal in order to doing their creepy monster nonsense.
Really?
It's great. I think it was... the Burbs? Just the Burbs? I have to look it up.
All right.
Maybe it's not something that we can achieve because of the rise of YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all these different social media apps and all these different spin-off outlets that have media on it, that there's just no room anymore for Hollywood to make movies for families that can hit that level of iconicness, that can hit that brand just right, where they can say, man, we can spin this off, we can do this, we can make like 5 more of these, and we'll have them come out every year. I don't know. And it's a bummer, because if I look at my kids even, they have shows they grew up with and movies that were new for them, like the Despicable Me's, like the Gumballs, like the Gravity Falls. But I don't know what the hell kids are watching now. If you're a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old, what movie or new show or series is going to hit you like that when you're 15 and you're going to look back and you're going to say, man.
Kids... I cannot imagine watching things at 3 years old, because when I grew up, we had socialism.
3 years
and
old.
There were only 2 TV programs.
Oh yeah.
And there was state propaganda.
Yeah. No, you have to really reach back and go, what the hell is I doing at 3 and 4?
But 5 and 6, we had French cartoons that were universally loved, which were called Once Upon a Time. and had different each series had a different topic.
Yeah.
And the one I watched the most was Once Upon a Time Life, which was about human biology through cartoon characters that told you about science and stuff. It was great. Well, actually putting all of this into a story that happens in the human body between these characters, while also telling you about how the body works, and not in this preachy PSA way, but in a natural, organic way. I want to see more of that stuff. That's not coming out, probably because children aren't supposed to learn things. Because if you watched episode 3, you would know that the pandemic measures weren't the greatest idea, because that episode already told you how the immune system works. It was great.
All right. 8 minutes, we're almost done.
I remember going to the theaters and watching Star Wars Rey Returns and thinking, this is my movie, this was made for me. And not realizing that there was already like 50 Star Wars things that came out before it. Or maybe there is just a brand new thing that they can look back on and say, oh man, I remember when this movie hit. And it was so good. It was lightning in a bottle. And then they ruined it. They made like 4 more of them. But that original one, that was the ticket, sir. That was it. For those that might want to say, well, Adam, that's how it is across the board. I'm going to disagree there. While it is true that Hollywood's basically tripling down on what came before, there are unique movies coming out all the time. Last year we had Poor Things, which I thought was freaking great. I know a lot of people didn't like it. Very much has to be a taster's choice situation. The Iron Claw. A24 has a ton of movies that are very unique that come out all the time, for better and for worse.
Yeah.
But there are studios still putting out new stuff. The Fall Guy, nobody saw it, but I thought it was great. I had a good time with it. Highly original? No. It doesn't need to be. A lot of movies we grew up with weren't highly original. They just were different enough. And they had their own brand and their own iconic character behind them. And that's what made it withstand the test of time.
Yeah, like in 98 to 2000, there were about 5 different movies that were The Matrix. And they were all better than The Matrix.
Well,
I will die on the hill of Dark City being better than The Matrix.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like Dark City.
And the 13th Floor being better than The Matrix.
That one was trippy. Yeah, you have to like that kind of.
Because it while introducing the simulation theory theme, it immediately plays with, oh, wait, the simulation is... We invented a simulation while being a simulation, and now the people outside want to shut us down because they're scared. Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of Matrix-esque movies out there that couldn't quite do the brain in a bottle style of setting. So, but they got the look right. They got the trench coats, or they got the minimalist, futuristic, whatever.
Dark City felt so much like Blade Runner.
In a way, yeah.
Made us look back and go, oh yeah, John McClane fully was the shit. Ethan Hunt is no nonsense. He's getting it done. Johnny Bravo, that cartoon had style. He had class.
Oh yeah.
He got plenty of ass. I think at this point we can safely say the Memba berries are starting to get stale. No one seems to care that much anymore about going back. And
well, no. We've had them for so long. Like, we just don't care about the next Star Wars thing. We don't care about the next...
Because
reboots.
They're bad. Because they're not Andor.
Okay.
If they were as good as Andor, we would want the next Star Wars.
Yeah, I think Andor is just the broken clock. It's just, that's what happened. They got so much crap coming out. Like, let's try this. It's like, all right, let's just...
No. Andor, if you have you seen it?
I've seen, I think, a half an episode here and half an episode there, and I was like, that's not bad.
Watch the whole thing. Watch one episode a day to let it sink in.
It was slow, though.
Yeah, because it is slow. Don't binge it. And that thing was written, directed by the people behind the Bourne movies.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
And that's why it's quality. And if you look at it with the critical eye of, is there any of the woke agenda stuff in there? It is the mandatory stuff that they demand is woven in so well into the background that you don't notice it. And they do not indulge in it. They do not go beyond it. And instead, so they do the least amount of that they can. And they mention the least amount of connection to Disney Star Wars that they can. The only thing that is ever mentioned that's to do with any of the other Disney Star Wars is Canto Bight, which is mentioned once in order to insult someone being a gambler.
Oh yeah.
That's all. Otherwise, there's no connection to the rest of Disney Star Wars. That is deliberate.
Yeah.
This thing is not an accident. It is intentionally the way it is.
Yeah, but this is what
Disney did not promote it.
This is what I mean.
That is also important because they knew this doesn't have enough. That doesn't make it a broken clock.
Oh, no,
that makes it subversive within Disney.
That's what I'm saying.
It goes against the grain.
Out of all of the Disney properties, this one thing stands out as being different, and you're like, why? Because it's not the other crap. Yeah. It's like that's it.
Yeah, but if Disney had promoted it, more people would have seen it. I wouldn't have had to be convinced to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I had given up on Star Wars already by then. I had to be convinced to watch it. Watched it and thought, like, what the hell am I watching? This is real Star Wars. You could bring this right after the original trilogy, and it would be okay. It would fit. Disney did not promote it because it is not woke enough. Yeah, and because it sets a higher bar.
And it's based
because it shows you can make good Star Wars.
And it's based off Rogue One, which people thought was a lot different than the formula for Star Wars film. And I think, again, it is derivative.
After seeing Andor, I really want to see the original idea and cut that the makers of Andor had in mind for Rogue One.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the same people. But they were forced to change it because Disney wanted this and that nonsense in there.
Cut the trailer different. Yeah, all that crap. Yeah.
And really glory days and seeing another sequel for whatever, Beetlejuice 2, I guess, will probably do pretty well. I don't know. That'll be a good litmus test, I think, for where people are at now when it comes to going to the movies and if Beetlejuice can have that appeal to get a broad audience in. It might. It certainly could. But overall, I think that it's getting a little stale now, and people are sick of these retreads and the 15th Star Wars movie and whatever else. Even the MCU seems to be faltering quite a bit. I don't think that's dead. I think that they're gonna keep coming out. They still make money for the most part.
No,
they're just gonna retool, shuffle things around. But I think there's some lasting damage here. And I think it's going for broke on all these remakes and sequels and whatnot. People just don't care anymore.
The only exception being the Deadpool movie, I guess, this year. I think that's doing well.
Yeah, but it also deliberately went against the grain where Ryan Reynolds said, nope, we're making it the way we want, fuck you.
It's always been that way.
Well, with him.
We want new things. We have media all the time that everything has become boring. And now Hollywood needs to once again innovate. Do I think they can? Yeah. Do I like asking myself questions that are easy layups to answer? Of course. And now I would love you to do me the favor of subscribing to the channel. Adam Does Movies. I post tons of movie reviews, commentary, rants, roasts, and everything else movies every single week. If you like what I'm doing a lot, you can check out my second channel, Adam Does Rants, where, yeah, I do more of this, but on non-movie topics. Usually it's very silly and stupid. I don't go into like deep conversation about heavy-handed issues. I'm talking about like not getting a straw when you order a Coke at the drive-thru and you drive away without it. So you're basically shit out of luck, like an idiot opening the top and trying not to spill all over while you drive. It's an impossible task. If you love what I'm doing, and this one's the important one, become a patron.
It's just not
all right,
there.
I think we're done with it.
Yeah, but overall, pretty good take.
Yeah, I didn't see a problem with that. Just off the cuff, personal opinion, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I think he misses why the MCU has gone stale and bad and why people don't want to see it anymore. Because bad writing is a product of, well, taking out the substance and replacing it with propaganda.
Yeah.
You always get the same fetishes. You don't get like if you want to keep using the term and you use it a bit wrong, is that the hero's journey is taken out and replaced with the narcissistic power fantasy. That would be the most non-political description of that.
I'm trying to wrap my head around the power fantasy just as power fantasy, as opposed to the bad writing power fantasy, which you're implying.
The narcissist doesn't want to go through the hero's journey. The narcissist just wants to have the powers and do shit and not be accountable. And that's what we see in these in the Captain Marvel was the prime example of that.
If that's a tertiary character, I think that would work. But
but they do it with the main ones.
Yeah, if it's
if
the
you
main
do it with
character,
the villain, that's fine. But this is why they all these main characters do come across like villains, because they are written like villains, because that's what narcissists are. Narcissists are natural villains.
That pretty much throws itself into the Mary Sue category of do anything you want in this scene because I want to, as opposed to, well, is he like a god? Is he a product of something that can do things like this? It's just, nope, I'm the main character, I want to do it. You're like, all right.
Sometime this month I will be done reading all the Dune books.
Oh, why? Why would
God, I hate it.
Why would you do
because
that?
I started, now I have to finish it, or it will be forever in my head. And I want it out of my head. That means I need to finish it, because autism can suck donkey balls.
All right. Well, that was a fun little video. It was very relaxing, and nothing that we haven't talked about or said to ourselves the past, I'm going to say, at least 11 years since we got some of these iterations from Disney of films and series on Netflix and Disney Plus that either don't belong, or when new stuff starts getting canceled. And I always look back to the positive stuff, things I actually like, but that is rare. That's the exception. And the majority of the big budget stuff, like the Rings of Power stuff, they're all derivative of something bigger and better that they don't understand why, and they try to emulate that in the only way possible, and they ruin it for everyone, or they show a version that, like, can you imagine Rings of Power being your first viewing of Tolkien? Like, that would be...
You would never want to watch anything else of Tolkien, or read anything.
You'd be like, fantasy sucks. I don't want to watch fantasy anymore.
And, Smud, that is why they make them.
Really?
That is why they make it so bad. Because they know there's a new generation. They haven't watched the actual stuff yet. Let's make something new, because people watch new things first, quite often. And then they think, oh, this is crap. I'm never going to watch the crap. Just like I wasn't going to watch Andor because they had ruined Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that's how they kill culture.
Anyway, that was a fun little Saturday video. Thank you guys for tuning in. I got to go deal with some issues with the storm here in Ontario. But thanks for waiting for an hour, and we will see you soon. So take it easy. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Good night.